The rain had started around noon, gentle at first, like a soft whisper brushing against the windows. By late afternoon, it had grown steadier, washing the streets of the small town of Meadowridge in a rhythm that felt almost musical. It was the kind of rain that wrapped the town in a quiet spell, encouraging people to slow down, seek shelter, and find warmth where they could. Tucked away on a quiet corner of Main Street stood a little cafe named Café Wintermond, a warm haven for those who knew how to find comfort in a cup of something hot and the hum of gentle conversation. The cafe, owned by Eliza Harper, had long been a fixture in the town. With its deep walnut-wood interiors, shelves lined with worn books, and amber lighting that seemed to cast a golden hue over everything, it was the kind of place where time felt slower. On a rainy evening like this one, it was magic. Eliza had opened the cafe's doors years ago after leaving her high-stress city life behind. She had once been a corporate event planner in Chicago, juggling clients and deadlines. But the toll it took on her peace finally nudged her to chase a long-held dream, creating a place where people could pause and feel safe, even if just for a while. And tonight, like many nights before, her cafe glowed like a lantern in the storm. Inside, the smell of cinnamon and fresh espresso filled the air. Rain tapped gently on the windows as soft jazz played in the background. A fire crackled in the stone hearth near the back of the cafe, casting flickering shadows across the floor. Eliza, wrapped in a wool cardigan, moved gracefully behind the counter, wiping down surfaces and humming to herself. Only a few patrons had wandered in, each wrapped in layers and soaked from the rain. There was Jack Taylor, the town's quiet bookstore owner, nursing a mug of chamomile tea while flipping through an old Hemingway novel. He was a man of few words, but Eliza had come to appreciate his calming presence. At a corner table sat Grace Mitchell, a local artist known for painting moody seascapes. She'd brought her sketchpad and was quietly drawing the scene unfolding outside the window, umbrellas bobbing along the sidewalk, headlights casting streaks of light on the wet pavement. Every now and then, she'd look up and smile at Eliza, mouthing a soft thank you for the chamomile latte delivered without a word. Then the bell above the door jingled, announcing the arrival of a new guest. The door swung open, letting in a gust of wind and the scent of rain. A man stepped inside, slightly drenched, his dark coat glistening with raindrops. He paused, taking in the warm air and the comforting ambience, and smiled as if finding shelter in more than just the physical sense. "Hi," he said to Eliza, brushing water from his shoulders. "I was just passing through. Didn't expect to find a place like this open." Eliza smiled and gestured toward the menu board. "We're always open during the rain. Something about stormy evenings makes this place feel cozier." The man chuckled, his blue eyes softening. "Well, that's lucky for me. I'm Daniel Brooks. I'm driving up from Nashville to visit family, but this storm caught me." She poured him a hot chocolate topped with a swirl of whipped cream and a sprinkle of nutmeg. "Welcome to Meadowridge, Daniel. First cups on the house." Daniel blinked, surprised. "That's kind of you. It's tradition. Rainy night, warm drink. First-timers get a little extra kindness." He took the drink, found a seat near the fireplace, and let out a breath that sounded like it had been waiting to be released for weeks. As he warmed his hands around the mug, he watched the flames dance and listened to the gentle clinks of cups and the mellow jazz that curled around the room like a lullaby. Minutes passed. Then Eliza brought over a plate of honey-dipped biscuits. "They pair well with hot chocolate," she said with a wink. Daniel grinned. "You sure know how to treat strangers." "Strangers don't stay strangers for long in Meadowridge," she replied, then returned to the counter. Across the room, Jack looked up briefly from his book. Grace continued sketching, now with Daniel's figure near the fire added into her composition. As the night deepened and the rain continued its quiet descent, the cafe took on the quality of a dream. Conversation stayed minimal. There was no need for words when the atmosphere spoke so clearly of comfort, belonging, and peace. Daniel eventually closed his eyes for a moment, letting the warmth of the cocoa, the fire, and the room itself seep into his bones. It had been a hard year for him. A breakup, the death of an old friend, and the quiet unraveling of purpose in his job as a software engineer had left him feeling hollow. But here, this tiny tucked-away cafe with strangers who expected nothing from him, he felt something shift. It wasn't grand. It wasn't immediate. But it was the first time in months he felt still. Eliza noticed the change in him, the way his shoulders slowly lowered and his breaths grew deeper. She didn't interrupt. She'd seen it before, the way a quiet, cozy place could soften even the hardest moments. That was why she'd created Café Wintermond. The clock struck 8. A soft instrumental version of an old Ella Fitzgerald tune began to play. Grace packed up her sketchpad, nodded to Eliza, and slipped out into the misty evening, her umbrella bobbing like a boat on a gray sea. Jack followed not long after, murmuring a thanks before vanishing into the night. Only Daniel remained. The fire dimmed, flickering low, but he stayed seated, lost in thought. Finally he looked up. "Mind if I ask why Wintermond?" he said softly. Eliza paused. "It's a word I came across in an old German poetry book. It means winter moon. When I first moved here, I'd walk at night under the snow-covered trees, the moon glowing above like a pearl. It felt like everything was quiet and waiting. This cafe is that kind of place. A pause, a breath before the next chapter." Daniel smiled. "I think I needed a Wintermond tonight." "You're welcome to come back any time," she said warmly. As the storm began to ease and the last customers filtered out, Eliza dimmed the lights and locked the doors. She wiped the counters one last time and placed a fresh bouquet of lavender and rosemary on each table. They'd fill the room with a calming scent come morning. Meanwhile, Daniel found a small bed and breakfast down the street, run by an older couple who gave him warm apple cider and a room with a window that looked out over the rain-dappled hills. He slept with the window cracked just enough to hear the drip of water on the leaves and the distant echo of a lullaby still playing in his mind from the cafe. He would return the next evening and the one after. He would help Eliza with odd tasks, carry crates of supplies, change out books on the shelf. And slowly, Café Wintermond would become more than a stop on a rainy drive. It would become a new chapter. In time, Daniel found himself painting the back wall of the cafe with Grace, helping Jack organize a small book corner, and installing a custom-built wooden rack for Eliza's teapots. What began as a rainy night grew into weeks of belonging. And as the seasons changed and winter deepened, Café Wintermond remained a beacon. Its doors were always open, especially on rainy evenings, and the warmth inside could melt even the coldest of memories. Outside, the moon shone softly, just like Eliza had once seen in the snowy woods. A winter moon over Meadowridge. A place where broken hearts, weary travelers, and